I'm Dan Radin, founder and CEO of Podcraft. Wait a minute, that's not right. Hi, I'm Dan Radin, founder and CEO of Podcraft. Audio is magic. And as you just heard, whether it's good or bad, can make a huge difference. I spent the last 15 years developing audio technology products with companies like Sennheiser, Alesis, and JBL. And when I went to start my podcast, I found that it's really difficult to start something that doesn't sound amateur. Amateur is easy, but to start something that sounds professional is hard. And for businesses, brands, and professionals, having an amateur podcast can be worse than having no podcast at all. Podcraft Solution is a platform for professional podcast creation. We save you time, we reduce cost, and we produce professional results from episode 1. Podcasts are the newest mass medium with more than 1 in 3 Americans listening regularly. Brand activity has nearly doubled in the last 12 months, and the number of shows has simply exploded. The market for podcasting creation, goods, and services is an overlay of 3 large, mature industries: radio, consumer audio, and music equipment. And that overlay today is worth $1 billion, and it'll be worth $11 billion by 2025. Podcraft addresses this opportunity with 2 product lines. We make it easy to sound great fast by putting everything you need in a box with our capture kits, everything from microphones to room treatment. And behind the scenes, we're prototyping technologies and developing partnerships that will enable Podcraft to pioneer a new category, consumer podcasting equipment, with the ease of use, simplicity, and beautiful design that studio equipment like this fails to deliver. And we make it easy to create high-quality content with Produce, our software that guides creators through show concept, pre-production, recording, post-production. Then we edit, mix, master, and upload your show in under 36 hours. And that industry-best efficiency is powered by Podcraft proprietary technologies such as cloud audio processing that automatically shapes and tunes your sound according to the Podcraft production algorithm. And as a listener, when you hear the Podcraft sound mark to begin a show we've produced, you'll know you're about to hear Podcraft's signature sound, clear speech, and engaging content. You can think of our business model as being similar to a home security system, with an upfront investment in equipment and a monthly service fee. We make 40% margin today on goods and 50% on services, and as we transition from being a dealer to a manufacturer and further automate the production process, our profits will continue to rise. We're on a path toward $250 million in 2025, and if those numbers look ambitious, and they are, remember, we only need to capture 2.2% of this large, rapidly growing market to deliver this plan. Our customers are small businesses, agencies, and creative firms, and as we grow, we'll transition toward larger companies and ultimately toward consumers. We attract our customers through in-podcast advertising, Facebook and LinkedIn sponsored results, Amazon and Google search optimization, and strategic partnerships. Our team is comprised of 5 seasoned professionals whose combined business acumen, operational expertise, and deep domain knowledge makes us the team to deliver this plan. Our competitors simply can't match Podcraft's unique value proposition of professional studio quality for less cost in less time. We've completed our concept stage, self-funded, during which we've done early customer sales, we've validated many of our early business case assumptions, and of course we've built our Produce platform, which is in preview mode with 125 users currently active. We're now raising a $500,000 pre-seed round to commercialize our software platform, build the rest of our core technology platform, and hire the core team. And let's talk about the exit. We're building an acquisition target. And I know, having worked for both professional and consumer audio companies, that we're building value that would be accretive to either of those industries or longer term to creation and enterprise software companies. Podcraft is building the future of audio creation with easy to use, beautifully designed tools that make it easy and fast for creators to create great podcasts in less time. How does that sound to you?
Thank you so much. Is this working?
How about now?
Okay, that work? Okay.
See that?
I thought you did a terrific job. You were very organized with what you do, organized with the market, organized with how you're different from others, organized about how you want to grow and how you want to exit. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I have a question basically about the market, and I have to confess that I'm no expert in the podcast market. I've done a lot of teaching, but not a lot of podcasting. So the $11 billion market, is that for those who use the podcasts, or is that for those who do the podcasts? Because you are selling, as I understand it, to those who do the podcasts, and I would suspect that they don't spend anywhere close to $1 billion. A lot of it is do-it-yourself stuff.
Great question, and thank you for that. The market that we're sizing is for goods and services related to podcast creation, yes. The opportunity that we see is today we have consumer users, so people who are not sophisticated audio users, using professional audio equipment. So the barrier to entry for higher quality podcasting is limited by a lack of consumer podcasting equipment and systems being available. You're using a professional microphone and cable and audio interface, and Tom can tell you how difficult some of this stuff is to connect. Then you have to use it with professional music production software that was designed for a recording engineer to use. Then you have to figure out how to produce it. Nobody's made TurboTax for podcasting, and that's really what our software platform develops, as well as the hardware that is really kind of like an iPhone for podcasting. Simple, easy, wireless, beautifully designed.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you. I agree. That was a great presentation. Like Charlie, I'm not as experienced in podcasting. So one of my questions, I think your customers all think that they want to do a podcast. What a great way to get to the market. But how do they get podcasting 101? How do they get educated on what it takes to where they value the service you're bringing and where they feel like they're going to be making an inroads into their market? So there's got to be a way of podcast 101.
Sure. Yes, so that's a big feature of the software platform that we're building. We saw this challenge that my background coming from audio technology, we could have just built tools that were easier to use, but it wasn't just sound quality and it wasn't just how do I record, it's also all of this domain knowledge that hasn't really been codified. I was having a conversation with one of the other presenting companies before this, and we were talking about how there are these cycles of bundling and unbundling of value, and we're in a bundling portion of that cycle. So we are really trying to build an end-to-end platform with everything you need from the idea, I want to start a podcast, to my podcast has been created and is successful. We are trying to create an experience that encompasses that entire consumer journey.
Fantastic. Well, full disclosure, I have bought audio equipment from Dan, and I can tell you he did make the process really easy. So that, yeah, looking at the presentation, and I've seen the presentation before and it's evolved quite a bit, so good job on that. So I'm not going to, I'm going to try to give you some candid feedback on where I think you could improve the presentation. When you're really defining the problem, you're talking about, bad audio is bad, and you did a good job demonstrating that, but there wasn't, I didn't get the why bad audio is bad. To be able to connect that to, something that your target consumer is going to feel. So bad audio is bad because of what? You did a good job describing, you've got a hardware play to the business, you've got a software play to the business, so you're making it easy for folks to get into the podcasting game. What I would love to see in your business model is a go-to-market, because having direct experience with launching a podcast myself and doing it, there are channels that make it easy to start, so you can get podcasting relatively easily, but actually making it stick, making it sustainable is hard. And so I'd love to see more focus on, okay, we help you get what you need, the equipment that you need to get started. We help you get the knowledge and the education, to Miller's point, to be able to do a compelling podcast, but then most importantly, we help you monetize it and we help you explore those options and maybe have those partnerships already lined up so that there's even more value. Because ultimately, if I understood kind of the evolution of the business correctly, you're going to be relying on hardware sales to be able to get going until you get the software fully developed and you get that subscription model going, correct?
Our SaaS is ready to do recurring revenue today, and really that's a key driver of growth. And I think that is a key differentiation from maybe the last time we've talked about the business, is that we don't really want to be in the putting stuff in a box business. It's what we do today, but the core value that we create is making things easy. And by doing the recurring revenue model on the software, we encourage people, you've paid for the month, you might as well use it. You probably should create some podcasts this month because we already billed your credit card on the 1st. So a big way that we deliver that is we're biasing customers toward launching with a batch of episodes. So doing 10 episodes, releasing them all at launch. I was talking to Stephanie about this before. And that creates a lot of forward momentum from launch date so that it makes it easy to say, well, I already have 10, I might as well make another one every week from now until I run out of money.
Right, gotcha. So I do think that on the hardware side, as long as the hardware is going to be a significant part of your revenue, then you have to take a look at how are we easier than Amazon. And I think you've got a good story to tell there, because you can augment the buying process with some education to make it easier. I think you can really message to not overspending or just wasting a bunch of time. Ultimately, well, let me go back to that. Go to the connecting good sound. So you're defining the problem of bad audio or a bad sound. And my recommendation would be connect that good sound to some type of ROI, which I didn't hear in the presentation, targeted to the consumer. So if you look at it, if most of us that are out there trying to launch a podcast today are doing these things, we're wasting a lot of time, we're wasting a lot of money. We're also, in some cases, we are risking our reputations by going out there and doing something that's a little willy-nilly. So if you look at all that and combine that, that's the reality today. That's how most folks start this journey, and that's kind of the peril of most podcasters. With Podcraft, here is what the future could look like, and I think that earlier in your presentation could be a really good way to frame up what the value prop is for the business model, that all of us then get it. We're like, okay, there's a real ROI in this for the end consumer.
Thank you.
Last point, and this is just kind of a point for everybody. The minute that anyone says we only need to capture 2.2% of a big market, you lose credibility right off the bat, because it's just an easy, lazy way to try to quantify your serviceable market. So I highly recommend no one says that ever.
Just a quick follow-up to what Tom says is, what is your game plan, if you will, for expanding from 125 customers to a much larger customer base? How are you going to grow that?
Great. So the latest addition to our team is an individual, Brady Sadler, who just joined as a strategic consultant. And Brady comes from the marketing and agency world. I've known him since I was 5, and we are trying each other out to potentially partner in some way, whether that is as an employee, whether that is a head of sales and marketing role, or if that is coming in as a full-time member of the team. So Brady's expertise is one of the areas where I know I am not as strong. I've been trying to do all of this myself, but my superpower is product and technology. So Brady's addition to the team is making it so that we can really have some strategic focus on our sales, marketing, go-to-market strategy. Today, we're doing in-podcast advertising, which has a very high return rate, has a very high value compared with other forms of media. We're doing some social media things, we're doing some strategic partnership things. But what Brady brings is deep agency experience, and we see a huge opportunity to work directly with agencies almost as distributor dealers to their customers, because their customers already are willing to pay, they've hired the agencies, and this can be something that they add to their portfolio of things that they do.